You're listening to the Microsoft Innovation Podcast, where we explore the intersection of people, business, and technology. This year, we're adding a new show to our lineup, The AI Advantage, to help you learn the skills you need to thrive in the AI era.
Welcome to the Copilot Show, where I interview Microsoft staff innovating with AI. I hope you will find this podcast educational and inspire you to do more with this great technology. Now, let's get on with the show. In this episode, we're focusing on large enterprise implementations of the Power Platform. We might touch on a bit of contact center dynamics. The actual whole gamut we'll probably cover today. Our guest is from Singapore. He works at Microsoft as a digital technology specialist. He's been working in this space for many years. You can find links to his bio and socials in the show notes for this episode. Welcome to the show, Mayak.
Thank you for having me, Mark. Really glad to be here.
Good to have you on the show. I always like to start with food, family, and fun. What do they mean to you?
Food is a way of connection, though it's a little bit complicated relationship with me because I follow a little weird ways of having food. I go on elongated fasts, like a month-long fast, 15 days fast, right? And I do a lot of intermittent fasting. So there's a lot of time I have to say no to food, to family and friends, and that really hurts. But you got to do what you got to do for yourself. And family, of course, comes first because that's what grounds you. That's what gives you, the vision of where you come from and where you're going at, right? So a lot of things that we build up as our personality actually comes from our forefathers, people that we know of within our families, right? So it's very critical to hold on to that and really be grounded to who you are and who you have been within that gene tree that you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So true. So true. And what do you do for fun?
So for fun, I like to travel around. So I'm in Singapore right now. So there's a lot of stuff to explore here. That's what I've been doing for, past 3 months right now. Apart from that, I like to learn a little bit, help people. I mentor a lot of people as well within the industry and helping them, sort of cope through where they are in life with their careers, what they need to learn, as well as, how they can basically set things up for themselves to see that growth that they're looking at. Some of them don't even know where they want to get at. So helping them figure that out as well. So those are some of the ways that I use my free time to really give back to the community.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Now, you said you do fasting.
Yeah.
I fast a lot.
Yeah, you do?
I fast every day. So
nice. Yes.
I start eating at 12 o'clock. I finish by 8 p.m. and then I don't eat till the next day.
Perfect. Okay. So that's 8-hour window.
Yeah. And then I also I've done 2 full 21-day water-only fasts.
Wow. How was that for you?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible, right? But what happened in, I don't know, maybe October, November last year, and I've been doing intermittent fasting for all of last year. And I've done it for years before as well. But I decided I hadn't done a long-term fast again. So I decided to do a 7-day fast.
Right.
It's the easiest 7-day fast. And when I say fast, that's water only.
Right.
No coffee, no nothing,
exactly.
Just water only for the entire thing. And I couldn't believe how easy it was. And I think it was because I've been intermittent fasting now for so long.
Yeah.
When I'd done the long fasts in the past, I'd never been intermittent fasting.
Right.
And I just found it so easy to merge into a fully fasted state.
Right.
And not feel like it was a drudgery. The worst issue I had through the process was, I think, potassium withdrawal.
Right, exactly.
The pain in my lower back was lack of potassium.
Yeah.
I feel.
So dizziness, any pains, heart palpitations, that's salts going down in your bloodstream. So you have to have those fasting salts, potassium, sodium salts, magnesium salts. Yeah, so that's the way to go about it.
There's just so much research in showing how it gets rid of the bad stuff or accumulation that you've had in your body when you do a full fast. And I just think it should be standard lifestyle choice for everybody, not a special thing. It should just be part and parcel of life.
It's not easy to start. Even for me, I've been doing this for for 10 years now, but still the first 3 days are difficult because of the hunger pangs. Because I come from a background of whole foodies, right? So I recently got my gene tested and I actually got affirmation on one of the theories that I had about my family. So in my family, the stories that goes around, about the Indian weddings, right? So my uncles, my maternal uncles, paternal uncles, the stories that they would tell is they would eat a bucket full of sweets at marriages, right? Get the ladies at the house to cook the food again after they've finished everything that was previously cooked. I used to think that, probably my gene pool already has some way of processing all that sugar. And I recently got my DNA test, and it actually showed that my ability to process sugar and carbohydrate is much higher than the normal population, right? So, with food, it's a very strong relation in the way that I grew up. The first time I tried fasting was probably when I was in 6th standard. And the whole fasting, basically, I got into it. My grandmother was doing it for religious reasons, and I started doing it. And within 4 hours mark, I had to eat something. I just couldn't do it, right? I was like the shortest fast I could do, 4 hours, right? But then, when I was in my 30s, I got to a point where I was 110 kgs, right? And you bend down, you can't stand up. And that's where, being in the software industry, you have to work long hours, and, implementations take your nights as well. So you can't spend too much time in the gym. So that's where I started researching on what is the easy way, to get healthy. And that's where I came across fasting. And that's when I slowly got into it, right? So move your breakfast from 8 a.m. to 9, 10, then skip the breakfast altogether, move your lunch to the evenings, then skip that. And then the first fast that I ever did was actually in one of the most complex implementations that I was doing for one of the automobile industries in India, one of the largest automobile industries in India. I was so intense. The team was all flabbergasted because of the challenges. We were shot down, top right and center, and your whole mind was in it. So that's where I thought, why not skip a couple of meals and see, right? And that's where I did my first 4 days fast. And it was such a good experience, right? So the cleansing you could feel and the clarity of thoughts that came through after that was really amazing. And that's where, after that, I just continued, increased the fast from 4 days to 15 days. And then I've done a couple of 1 month fasts as well. So last year I did 1 month fast. I just completed my 3 days fast yesterday itself. I thought my family is going to be here. I'm going to be out eating. So why not do a quick cleanse before that? So,
Yeah. I can't recommend it enough. And what I've noticed, there's quite a difference between male and female fasting. And you shouldn't, I say to my wife, don't follow what I do.
Exactly.
Go and get educated on how you should apply it for you.
Correct.
Women have more hormones, to my understanding, than guys. And so it's different.
Yeah. So the whole emotions are driven by hormones. So that's important to take those into consideration.
Yeah. What I did notice is at my most recent 7-day fast, I was the most emotionally level than what I have been, because the last time I did it was years ago, a 7-day, and I was angry, like I was angry, everything frustrated me. It was very
you turn into a diva totally. I mean, you turn into a total diva. You're like, oh my God, what's going on? And then you realize probably your salts are dropping.
So true. Tell me about large-scale implementations on either Dynamics 365 or the Power Platform. And how this comes about is that I noticed that enterprise customers, some very large customers, were not treating the Power Platform as an enterprise play, right? They considered SAP as that, Pega as that, ServiceNow as that, Oracle XYZ as that. They weren't taking the Power Platform seriously. And because I had bought up with Dynamics, from the early days of, I started with 1.2, so 21 years ago, we had always taken the product and built big applications that are still used today.
Correct.
And we used to ask Microsoft, say, Microsoft, please just forget the CRM piece. Just give us, what we now call model-driven app development. Give us that. We will build applications on it. Leave it to us. We got that, but with it, we got a story of low code. And what happened is enterprise architects heard this word low code, and it's probably not even the low code piece, because Dynamics was always low code.
Right.
What they heard was anybody can build
Exactly.
apps on this.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
they go, well, hang on a second. It's not just about building apps. It's around the robustness of that app. It's around
Right.
regression testing. It's around application lifecycle management. It's about making sure that when we're in a mission critical scenario, the app that's built by Susie in accounting
Right.
is not going to break, right? And we're going to be, any business is about risk mitigation. So when they hear that anybody can build apps, their risk radar goes off and they go, this will not be the enterprise platform of choice for us. And
Right.
wanted to do a series that I try and show actually people are building large, the fact that it's built on Azure, which a lot of these people that make these calls don't realize it's on an enterprise infrastructure.
Yeah.
When I used to compete against IBM and plays, they used to run down Microsoft, it wasn't enterprise. Well, I think the proof is in the pudding, right?
Exactly.
And so I want to hear your stories about some of the big enterprise projects that you've been involved in and why the Power Platform was chosen over XYZ product, could have been out in the market.
Yeah.
What
So
comes
do
to
you
mind?
mind if I take a stab at the psychology of why people think and why the
Yes.
architects think
I like
that
it.
it's not going to be a choice for the enterprise, right? So let's take a step back and think of the era when people used to code in binary, right? And the level of optimization that had to go in that binary coding. Now, when Microsoft released something like .NET, right? A 12th grader could use .NET to build his applications, right? We saw absolute similar pushback from those people back then as well, right? What do you mean? I mean, I write that binary code, I have to think about 2,000 things, 20,000 things to make it optimally run on my platform, my hardware. And now suddenly some 12th grader can come and write some if then else statements and it's going to work on my hardware. It's not going to want to work on my hardware, right? So similarly, architects of today, right, given their history, when they look at this, now when you had to build an application and you deploy it to the environments, you had to look at the protocols, you had to look at optimization of databases, you had to look at so many things. And now you're saying that none of that is required and something will automatically take care of that without me having to do anything about it. I mean, how can I even trust all of these aspects, right? I don't know what you've done.
Yes.
I don't know whether it really works or not, right?
Yes.
And that is where we need some social proof to showcase. And there are these then, pioneering organizations that take the first step to actually onboard themselves on these new platforms, right? It's the same thing that we had with AI as well. What is AI? I mean, how can something that's not me be more intelligent than me, right? So why should I even trust? That's a lack of trust basically that comes in. But then I've gone into calls with CIOs, CTOs, and questions like, "Show me where's the code of your software." I'm like, "No, there's no code, right? How does that work? I mean, you have to compile, you have to, sort of debug. How do I debug? Okay, it's all built into the platform. No, I don't understand that, right?" So there are those mindsets as well in the industry today who actually want to go deep into code development and do things on their own and like the flexibility that they've got. But then there are those who understand really that within a manufacturing organization, within a business organization, the IT is just an enabler. And for them to get into that kind of product development might not do justice to all the investment that the organization is doing. So why not use something that has the scale of economy and has been built by all the best experts that have conglomerated together into an organization like Microsoft, taken care of all the different aspects of database management, optimization, code management, code optimization, right? And then sort of use that and see how that fares out, and then reach out and give feedback and get in return more optimized versions of the same platform, right? An evergreen platform that you can give feedback to and get back those. It might take a little bit of time, but it'll obviously take less time than what you could have built at that level of scale, right? That's where the psychology basically plays in. People, who've come from that background of code development basically don't really get why they should trust somebody else when I'm as good. I've had a history of building good applications. Why should I trust that you're better than me, right? And that is where I think, a lot of organizations, so a lot of discussions that I've been in, for Power Platform, the first thing is, oh, isn't Power Platform for smaller apps? You can build those small apps, but I don't think you can build. I was doing this for one of the beverages leads in Sri Lanka, right? And he asked me, the CTO there asked me this question. Don't you think, this would break? Because I've been working on M365 Power Platform, and that is one breaker as well. You can't compare M365 Power Platform with the premium Power Platform, because M365 Power Platform is built to automate your M365 ecosystem. Does not have the infrastructure behind the scenes to support business applications. It does not have the necessary capabilities to support database management either, right? Dataverse is your database management on steroids, on AI optimization behind the scenes, right? If you want to look at business scenarios, you have to look at the business application part of the Power Platform, the premium Power Platform, right? That's where the turbocharge is in, right? So you can have a small car, and you can say that it takes me places, similar places, but it won't take you there in the same time that a large race car or a turbocharged car will. So if that's your choice, and completely depending on what you want to prioritize in life, in your vision, if you just want to get there, probably a smaller car is for you. But if you want to get there fast and you want to be there on time every time, then probably a turbocharged car or a Power Platform Premium is what you want to go ahead with, right? And
I like it.
from implementation perspective, really large multinational conglomerates, right? World leading manufacturing car manufacturers, right? We're seeing all of these stories in the publicly available as well. Banks, right? The most complex implementations, Mark, in the world are for the banks, because of the level of validations that they have to build into, the level of calculations that they have to do, the level of checks that they have to build into. No small application in a bank is any less than an enterprise grade application within any other industry, right? And HDFC Bank, India's one of the largest bank, catering to tens of millions of customers, have decided that Power Platform is going to be their platform of innovation. And if you want to use any other technology, you would come back with a reason of why you can't build it on Power Platform, right? So people are doing that already, right? There are a lot of financial organizations who've utilized this, turned this into their choice of platform of innovation, and using it seamlessly to build, integrate with their government partners, with their external partners, internal processes, all in the bid to do what people have been doing with data lakes for data. Consolidating the data is what Power Platform is doing for business processes, consolidating all the business processes into a single layer, right? So that every user, from a maintenance perspective, makes it easy because you can have role-based applications. And for user perspective, it makes it easy because behind the scenes, the platform is capable of connecting to maybe 10 or 20 different applications that you've got in your ecosystem, right? And which is a normal thing, right? 10 years ago, when we embarked on the digital transformation, what we started doing was we started collecting these siloed applications to automate these specific business processes, because we all getting started, right? So we wanted to sort of streamline sales. We got a sales application. We want to streamline service, got a service application. We wanted to streamline operations. We got a operations application. But then soon we realized that through these applications, well, we were not really helping people collaborate together, and the data was all scattered. Obviously, we were collecting a lot of data, but were we connecting them together? We were not, right? And that's where the whole concept of let's look at the data and bring in the data lakes and warehouses in, and let's see if we can build those were the phases of the industry. So data lake, warehouses, insights, right? Now we're looking at more comprehensive ecosystem of applications that sits on a single data layer. And obviously, as an organization, you might have invested in other applications as well. That's where Microsoft allows you to utilize connectors to actually connect all of those, not just data, but experiences as well, right? Because the user should not have to jump around application to application to do his job, right? He should be able to do the job where he's sitting within the application, because we all know the focus is very scarce today, right? If I have to click on that minimize button, there are chances within 10 seconds I'll forget what I was doing, because there was a pop-up down there. There was some shiny app there that I thought, okay, let's quickly check on that. And then I have lost the whole trail of, what I was doing. That's where Power Platform basically comes in. It lets you do all of the specific activities that you need to do from your process, whether you are in sales, whether you're in service, whether you're in operations, whether you're in finance, from a single play pane of view, right? That's the beauty of the platform. That's where Microsoft has invested in building it into something that can help people focus and do what they would really like to do, want to do. And with AI, we're trying to remove the drudgery as well.
Dynamics Minds is one event you don't want to miss. Microsoft product managers and industry leaders from all over the world converge in Slovenia to explore the latest in Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and Copilot. Expect 3 days of in-person community connection, trailblazing insights, and a location sure to inspire our creativity. Early bird tickets are on sale now, and podcast listeners get 10% off by registering via the link in the show notes. Hope to see you there.
Can you give me some examples of industries that you've seen large implementations that are, maybe 4, 5 years, 10 years on that are still running what was either Dynamics 365, then the Power Platform from really 2018, 2019 onwards?
Right.
Because when I look back at my career, there's multiple applications. They're still fully in production, built because of that scalability and that Microsoft ran the platform.
Correct.
Give us your stories.
Yeah. So as I spoke, one of the bank that was implementing for, right? Again, this was in 2019, mid 2019s, when we started doing the transformation for them, right? And IBM was involved as well in that implementation. The first thing that we started doing was they already had an in-house ERP, and we were implementing the CRM for them, right? Subsequently, we realized that during the UAT phase, the integrations were constantly breaking because the in-house ERP was not able to take the load that the platform was sending through. And that is where immediately the chief architect came in and said that, is there an easy way to get these specific calculations? We'll keep the ERP behind the scenes, but can you bring all of these specific calculations into your platform, right? We said, we'll take a look. I'm not sure, because finance for CRM guys is not our core, sort of strengths, but we'll definitely take a look. And after 3 or 4 days of analysis, we figured out that it was pretty simple and we could bring those in, right? That was the start of actually bringing in the ERP on the Dynamics platform. So we bought those specific calculations in. We saw the performance increase by 12 folds, right? And because the ERP was on-prem, obviously there were challenges with the network and the cloud connectivity. We had hyper connectors back then. So the on-prem connector was not out then. We had in Azure the hybrid connectors that has similar concept as the on-prem connector, right? And we realized that. But then subsequently we realized that we had to sort of migrate the whole ERP onto the platform. And that is where we bought in BC for their financials, right? And their LOS was then built as a separate model-driven app on the Power Platform as well. So Power Platform was just coming in during that time, not very streamlined because it was the start of the platform at that time, but we were still able to pull off. The only challenges that we had were back then on the UX, because the UX was a little Dave Days like, right? So those console like UX wasn't very fancy. Because of the performance, it made sense for them as well. The users were cringy. I would say, they were like, what is this shit? I have to work with this for all my life. I don't want to do that. But then when they actually saw the level of transactions that they could pull off with this whole setup, they decided to go ahead with this, right? And then subsequently through the years, as my platform sort of upgraded and new capabilities came in, the users were happy as well subsequently, right? And today I talk to one of them and they're like, now it's completely different what you guys implemented and what it is today. When I look back, oh my God, I mean, what's 4 years now? Four, not
Mm-hmm,
4.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4, 5 years now. And they say that I know it looks like a completely different platform, right?
Yeah.
That's one story that I could tell of. Another story from another bank, a UK based bank, their integration with their core system broke in between a large campaign that they were running,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this required them to send the end users before they closed the opportunity. They had to send these Adobe forms to get the signatures, right? And there was an integration with the
Mm-hmm.
backend
Mm-hmm.
system to bring that in. And only after the signatures were done, they could close the deal, right? That integration broke. Imagine what could we have done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if for that integration to get back on, I think it was TLS 2.0. The reason was TLS 2.0 or something, right? So to bring that on, the estimate that we got from the core team was 2 weeks, and the campaign was
Mm-hmm.
right midway, right?
Wow.
We scratched our head for a bit, and then the CTO from my organization, he came up with an amazing idea. Let's use Power Automate. Within
Mm-hmm.
4 hours, Mark,
Wow.
the
Wow.
integration was back on track, right?
Wow.
So that's the power of the tool, right? It's not what you've
Yes.
implemented,
Yes.
it's what you can do with those tools when you need them, right?
Yeah.
Just write a quick connector, bring that in, use Power Automate to build your flow, and boom, you're back in business, man.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
In the last 12 months, we've
Yeah.
obviously been inundated with conversations around AI and how it's going to affect business. And, I think just before Christmas, about a month before, Copilot had its first birthday,
Right.
1 year old, but it seems to have taken over our lives. What are you seeing in your interaction with customers around the Copilot conversation?
Right. So people are really excited, but I work in the SMC space, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the most of the time, the question that I get is, the apprehensions and pushback that I get is, AI will not work in my environment because we hardly have
Mm-hmm.
anything, right? And that is where I say, you don't have any baggage. So this is where you should get started, right? For larger
Yeah,
organizations,
exactly.
I mean, you already have so much of data that you need to clean to make it part of the AI's wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for SMCs, because you don't have any baggage, you can start anew, right? And you can have the
Yeah.
AI build that data for you on your behalf. Use the AI now,
Mm-hmm.
and at least for now. Back then, it was more like searching through the information, but now the AI, the co-pilot, is able to take actions on your behalf, streamline processes, automate processes with reasoning, right? Earlier, we just had
Mm-hmm.
automation. Now we've got automation with reasoning. With the agents coming in, the agents can reason on the steps that they need to take as part of the automation. So it's the best time for
Yeah.
you guys to actually start building those AI agents within your ecosystem, so that your guys can have some time back to think on how they want to grow the business, how they can streamline the processes, pivot wherever there are bottlenecks, and really take your business to that next level, right? And for larger
Mm-hmm.
organizations, again, I'll say that, with the agentic AI, there are a lot of drudgerous work that most of the people don't even know why they do. Let the AI do that for you, right?
Yeah.
So I was reading through the book called Hack Your Bureaucracy, right? And you
Okay.
yeah. Have you read that book?
No. I'm a book reader, so I have a look.
Such a good book. So it talks about how there are processes that actually leak performance out, and these are processes
Mm-hmm.
that are basically handovers between one department to another, right? People
Yeah.
don't really know why they're doing it, because they're not responsible, they're just responsible for handing it off. And people who
Mm-hmm.
get
Mm-hmm.
it are frustrated but are not ready to give that feedback back to where it came from.
Yes.
And those are the major leaks of performance, right? Let the AI figure
Mm-hmm.
it out. Use process mining to see
Yes.
where your time is unnecessarily being wasted, where your efforts are unnecessarily being wasted. Build an AI agent so that you can have that understanding of that handoff and why that's happening, and let the agents, figure things out in terms of what is required. Ask those necessary questions as it goes down, right? That's the beauty of it. I'm not sure if you've seen the example of the agentic capabilities, the use case that we released, right? Where The AI is able to look at the customer email, figure out who the right partner would be, and then assign that partner. Yeah, McKinsey.
Was it
Exactly.
McKinsey?
Yeah. Right. So those aspects, to have somebody manually do it, I mean, how would you think that person who's doing this job would look at his career in next 10 years? What is the extra edge that he can bring in, right? These are some of the aspects that are not for humans, that really should be, sort of automated as much as possible, and let the AI do that. I mean, the investment that you put in a human being to stay on that job, it might be an investment from your end, but from that human being's perspective, you need to really think of, how they grow their career. And they really should be in those really high value activities where they can go to that next level of capabilities and see themselves grow as well. So for any of those drudgerous jobs where you just have to be a coordinator, a postman, agents are here. Use them.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. My final question, because we're at time, is contact center.
Yeah.
Right. We've seen the DCCP platform, of yesteryear.
Right.
Microsoft have been iterating the space for over 20 years, right? If you go back to the customer care framework that we worked on years and years ago, it's not a new thing, but it seems that right now contact center has its time in the light.
Yes.
In that it's so, going away from this concept of rooms full of people answering calls to, COVID brought around a massive distribution of where people can answer contact center based requests from.
Right.
And now we're going into massive amount of AI support, biometrics, voice prints, all those type of things as part of the Nuance acquisition.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in the space?
So the hook for customers with the new contact center capabilities, right? And this is what we've also tried to do with the contact center, is to reduce the customer frustration when they land on the phone call, and to go through that whole list of choices, press 1 for this, press 1 for 2 for this, press 3 for these, right? That's really frustrating. And we've got so many memes entertainment industry around that, right? I am dying. Press 1 for this if you're dying through a thief. Press 1, those kind of things, right? Total loyalty killer, man. I mean, your favorite brand, you have to call them, and if you have to go through that list, you're like, shit, man, my next 10 minutes, 20 minutes are wasted, right? So how can we remove that, right? And then from an agent's perspective, him requiring to ask questions around, can you help me with your problem? Oh, I've already spoken to 3 agents before you. Oh, but can you still reiterate that for me? I'll have to maybe go through the notes, or can you stay on hold and I'll go through that notes, right? So how do we reduce that time again to improve the customer experience there, right? And then those scenarios where the customer lands on a queue, which is not the queue that they intended to be in. Oh, I'm sorry, you've landed on a wrong queue and I'll have to transfer. Okay, fine, transfer. And then now I'll have to, and in the mind, we're thinking, I'll have to again reiterate the whole issue to this new guy, right? Now that's where I've seen a lot of hook with my customers. When I have that, they really get excited about this. This is where they see value, right? Where the customer just can call in and say what they want, and the AI is able to figure out exactly who can help them. So they'll never be transferred to a wrong queue. They don't really have to go through all that options. As well as, for the agents, they get a quick summary of what the customer requires and immediately be ready in there right in time, because the AI is now also able to pull in information from the knowledge base and pop it out in front of the agent, right? Either if it is a first go scenario, then the agent can spill it out for the customer and the customer is happy. And only those, challenges that are really, intense in terms of, complexity get to the agent. So agent also feels fulfilled in terms of solving those problems, right? Because as an agent, imagine, you're getting those simple FAQ kind of questions all day. You do get frustrated, right? It's your job all day, and you're like just answering those questions. Why? And you're thinking, why can't these people look at the website, right? They're humans, right? Just go to the website and search this out. But then when these kind of problems come up, and there you have to apply your whole imagination and intelligence, that's where you fulfilled as an agent as well, right? So those are the two aspects that we've been, trying to bring as part of the contact center platform. And we've seen people really relating to those aspects and getting excited about that. Today, just now, I received, I don't remember the name of the organization, but one of the recent wins, I'll go through the details of what it entailed. But we are seeing a lot of tractions on the contact center as well. People are getting onboarded on the platform and now starting to realize the value of all of these capabilities. And again, the beauty of it is all configuration, man, right? So all your knowledge bases, your topics, all of that basically stays as part of the configuration. And as the business grows, you can keep changing them without really needing a whole developer team to bring that in. Your team, your own cases become a feedback loop for your knowledge bases, right? And the way that you solve problems become the whole knowledge base and the AI to build on top of, so that next time when you face the same problem, you have that reference, whether it was you solving it or your friend solving it or colleague from a different department solving it. The consolidation of that information using AI allows you to stay on top of all of those developments. So that's the beauty of it.
Mayak, it's been so good talking to you. Very insightful. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Really excited. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 guy. Is there a guest you would like to see on the show from Microsoft? Please message me on LinkedIn and I'll see what I can do. Final question for you. How will you create with Copilot today? Ka kite.
Are you ready to accelerate your career in the Microsoft ecosystem? The 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, created by Mark Smith, is your opportunity to create a personalized pathway to success. Join over 1,200 alumni from more than 70 countries who have achieved remarkable results, from promotions to new job opportunities. Take it from Nathan, who said, since completing the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, I've become an MVP in business applications and doubled my income. Or from Parvez, who shares, I've never felt as inspired or energized about my career as I do now. Sign up at arcor.nz365guy.com. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you use the code podcast, you'll get 10% off.